Folks, if you get into bowl turning, you will sooner or later begin to lust after burls. Burls are these great big warts that grow on the sides of trees, and inside a burl you have absolutely amazing grain. Let me come in close. I'll show you two different pieces of burl that have been. Want to go here? Okay, there we go. These are veneered burls. This is quarter matched, but you can begin to see just how that grain. This is maple. You can see how it just is absolutely gorgeous. This is Carpathian elm burl. There you go. And you can begin to see. I'll try to get this close to the limits of what what the camera can focus on. But you can see how the grain just swirls around and around and around inside these burls. That's what these burls. Let's go. There we go. These burls were sought after precisely because of that grain swirl, and not because of the beauty of the wood. The burl has no grain direction. If you turn a bowl out of an ordinary piece of wood, and it will expand more across the grain than it will with the grain. Obviously, you all know that. Well, this stresses the bowl shape, and eventually it will cause the bowl to crack. If you turn the bowl out of a burl, because there is no grain direction, the bowl shrinks and swells the same way in all three directions. And it preserves the round shape, there's no internal stresses, and the bowl lasts a lot longer. I've seen a bowl that was 250 years old turned from a walnut burl, absolutely a gorgeous bowl, and did not have a crack or a check anywhere in it. This is a typical burl that I harvested off the side of a tree. As you can see, it's just a great big wart growing. This is a small one. It would make a tiny little bowl. Once you harvest these burls, they're not ready immediately to turn. What you need to do is dry them out. All I do is stick them in a plastic bag. This is the bag that we normally used for our dust collector, and you just put them in the bag, kind of fold it over loosely. You know, you actually want some air to escape, and just sort of put them on the floor or in a corner out of the way in your shop for a year or two, and they will dry themselves out. What the plastic bag does is it prevents the moisture from escaping too quickly. In the dry air in your shop, these things will dry out so quickly that they begin to check and split on the inside. The plastic bag keeps them from losing moisture too quickly, and they shrink more slowly, and the wood stays good and solid. If you happen to look inside the plastic bag and see that there is a mold developing on here, then they're not losing moisture fast enough. And what you need to do is open up a side and get a little bit more air in there so that it doesn't so that the mold dies. And once that's happening, you should just leave it, let it sit there. I actually put these in my barn and let them sit in plastic bags. After about a year, for a really big burl, it may take as long as 3 years. They're nice and light. These are ready for turning right now. Here's a somewhat larger burl that I have been working on little by little. These things take a long time to turn. You'll see why here in a minute. you have to mount this on the Shopsmith somehow. Now this is faceplate turning. You can see that I've got a faceplate on the back end of this burl. What I did is I inspected the burl, figured out where I was going to get my my bowl. If you look at this burl, you see it has a sort of a bowl shape, and all this stuff up here is going to be turned out, and I'm actually what I want to do is I want to leave the bark on this as I turn it. But I do need to turn this top and get it hollowed out. So I figured out what the top of my bowl was, what the bottom of my bowl was, and then I took the burl and I took a cabinet maker's rasp. I'll show that here in a minute. Let me get it. This is a cabinet maker's rasp, and I created a flat spot on the top of the burl. Once I had that flat spot, I then touched it up on the disc sander to make it good and flat. And if you'll come in close with camera number 3, I want to show you something there. See the little piece of wood here between the burl and the faceplate? I didn't want to screw the faceplate directly to the burl because I didn't want screw holes in it after I finished turning it. So what I did is I glued this wooden plug there. But in order to get that plug off easily, I inserted a piece of paper between the plug and the burl. I'll go ahead and I'll turn this burl, and when I'm ready to remove the plug, all I have to do is whack it with a hammer, and it'll break off cleanly where the piece of paper is. And the faceplate I screwed to the plug so that it's secure without putting holes in the burl. All right, well, that done. Let's go over here to the Mark V, and I'll show you how you mount this. Yeah. All right. Now, the burl is not well balanced. This is a natural shape that you find in nature, and when you put this on the lathe, it's going to be heavier on one side than it is on the other. For that reason, you need to use the speed reducer in order to turn these things safely. Let me move the burl and the carriage and get the speed reducer ready. The speed reducer just clamps to the way tubes, and there is a housing that goes around your quill. Now you have to take, and I've left the strip sander on here just for this reason, to show you what you need to do. The drive hub that you use on your SBTs has 5 grooves in it. You use that same drive hub on your quill. So we get that mounted. Actually, it's better to mount it towards the back of the quill. Against that little knurled knob. Let's move this in place. Extend the quill. Come on. And there we go. That's it. Make sure that the housing comes up to the little rubber washer on the quill. Tighten down the housing on the quill, and there you go. Now we'll mount the going to turn this until the flat, that we can see the flat. We'll mount the faceplate on the spindle. There we go. And turn this on. I'm set on the slow speed, and you can see that there's no vibration in that with this moving at this speed. The problem is, though, is that because of the way that this is going to contact the chisel, this is not going to be like spindle turning. You're not going to have a smooth peel. It's going to hit, and it's going to go as it hits. Each time it hits, it's going to put some stress on the faceplate joint. So for the beginning of this, we're going to use the tailstock and actually do a bowl turning instead of a spindle turning. There we go. Now, in order to do that, you need a flat on this side of the burl. So I'm going to take the chuck arbor, put that in the tailstock, and then take a sanding disc, put that in the on the chuck arbor. Okay. You advance this. Now I'm going to this time I'm going to tighten down the headstock lock, but not the lock that holds the speed reducer. Instead, I'm going to leave that loose, and that gives me a little quill action here. I'm going to turn this on and bring that up against the. There we go. You do that long enough to create the flat. Once you have created that flat, let's back this off, take off the disc, take the tailstock out. I'll need a hammer to smack that with. There we go. And replace that with the live center. All right, now I'm tightening down the headstock, extending. Whoop, I haven't quite lined that up. Extending the quill until the chuck or the burl contacts the live center. Then I'm tightening down both the speed reducer and the quill lock. There you go. Okay. Now let me show you why this takes forever, and why you need to do the first part of this with as a spindle turning. Set up your tool rest and rotate the burl several times through to make sure it's not going to hit the tool rest. And as you can see, it's hitting right there. Okay, now it's not. Okay, that looks good. You get a chisel. I'm going to start with the gouge since it's the easiest. Now, this is very difficult at the beginning because, as I say, the gouge is not going to make continual contact with the burl. Okay, you can see that I got some pretty big bangs there. If I had not had the tailstock in place, that might have broken my joint right here, the glue joint between the plug and the burl itself. You want to be able to turn the outside shape down to where it's fairly smooth, and it takes a lot of patience, an enormous amount of patience, because you just have to feed the chisel so slowly in order to get the shape that you're after, and be able to reveal the beauty inside this thing little by little by little. But believe me, once you do, it's worth it.